Hi, my name is Fatima, and this is a video report on the interviews that I had done at the World School that I was at. I interviewed 6 teachers, and these were the main themes that I got from the recordings. First one was parental support. Second one was leadership. The third one was technology. So that has also been broken up into paperless future and processing progression in the education sector. So I have my stuff written down because I have a hard time speaking and remembering stuff. So okay, we're gonna start with parental support. So parental involvement is very important in a child's schooling career. Doing things such as making sure the child does their homework, packs their bags for the next day, helps out the teacher a ton, because they don't have to waste time checking who didn't do their work and who did, and trying to cause a fuss, that causes a lot of time wasted in terms of lesson delivery. The second one is teaching children good morals and values, such as being respectful towards teachers and their peers in the classroom. This reduces classroom disruptions and adds more time for beneficial learning. Okay, now we're moving on to technology and a paperless world. Now, I know what you're thinking, a paperless world, is that even possible? But I mean, in a few years, I do think it's very possible if we work towards that and not against that. So a more a paperless world equals to a more environmental friendly world, meaning less carbon footprint. Use of technology at schools makes life easier for teachers and students. Now I'm going to explain why. So for students, because they are born, so today's students, the students that I as a student teacher, when I'm qualified, am going to be teaching, are students that are born in a very technologically advanced world. I mean, come on, there's like Sophia, the robot that's already been made. So I don't know if that's not super technologically advanced, then I don't know what is. So their fine motor skills aren't as developed as our generation or the previous generations, fine motor skills, just as them, because we are more used to using, I remember when I was going to school, I wrote more, I copied work from the board, everything was done on a paper. So things like drawing and writing and handwriting, it was very neat and very precise. But if you look at today's children, they struggle more with their fine motor skills. If you look into their books, their handwritings could be better, by a milestone. So, and that's because they use more cell phones and tablets to learn things and watch things. They don't spend their time sitting down and fixing their handwriting. If they're going to learn, they learn on their tablets, watching things on YouTube and stuff like that. So using things like projectors, smart boards, tabs increases a learner's motivation to learn. When learners see the things that they have at home, things such as tablets and seeing videos that they might have encountered on YouTube in their classroom, they're gonna get very excited. They're going to want to be interested in learning, and it gives them that opportunity to expand their learning instead of blackboard, books. That already, just walking into the classroom, screams boring. And for teachers, it creates more opportunities to be creative. So creating, like now we're learning how to do coding and stuff like that. That means we get to do animated lessons. We can create our own little, for example, I've seen a video on where learners got to animate a digestive lesson, and they showed all of that, like how the digestive system works through animation. So it gives them an opportunity to be creative, and it also becomes easier to track learners' progress. The device that the learners use, if they do use it in the classroom, shows the teacher what the child is struggling with, where the child is struggling with, and how to support their child, what kind of support to give the child. Whereas with paper, you'd have to look for the child's paper, you have to, find that question that the child is struggling with, and that's a lot of time, that's very time consuming. Okay, so the next thing that I do want to talk about is leadership. So leadership, majority of the teachers' responses were they would like to see a lot more younger teachers in positions of power, such as principals, positions such as HODs, things like that, because they are more relevant in the times that we live in. We live in 2020, a very progressive age. So having older teachers or teachers who are old school, having older teachers and teachers who are old school, they have a very old school way of doing things as well. So they might not be very willing to want to change that because they're very comfortable in that situation. They're afraid of using technology, and I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think they can lead if they are unable to adapt. So if you're a leader, one of the qualities that you should have is being able to be able to adapt to the times and things like that. So I think that having the department giving or preparing students for situations like that or positions like that will make the education sector ricochet very fast into like a very futuristic age. Like we will reach there much quicker than having and waiting on these old school teachers to try and catch up to us. So that's what the teachers at the school that's what they had in mind, and that's what they expressed, as well as my views. So now I'm going to move on to how the department can help us teachers to reach that point. So the department can help us by listening to the people who are in the field. So basically the teachers at the schools, you can't meet with people who aren't experiencing the classroom on a daily basis, because they don't have that experience. They basically can't have an opinion. It's more of like observed opinion rather than an experienced opinion. So a lot of changes can be made by listening to the teachers who are at the schools, who are teaching the kids, and they should be given time because they themselves are very frustrated and need help. One of the other things that the teachers of the school during the interview did was that they gave advice for the upcoming teachers. So the one that stuck out for me was, and I think it encompasses everything, is come into the system to create change. So come into the education system to create change in terms of how you prepare your lessons, in terms of what type of materials to use. Are you technologically advanced? Like, come into the schooling system to make a change and not just adapt to it. Okay, so I think that was very in a nutshell, and it was spot on. So the last thing I want to do is basically give recommendations. So obviously we live in a world where knowledge is a mouse click away, and the role of an educator should change as well because of that. As sad as it is due to the COVID-19, this might have been the disruption our education sector needed to rethink how we educators educate, and we should question what we need to teach and what we are preparing our students for, because you can't, it's past the time where teachers were the ones who imparted knowledge. Now you can get knowledge from the internet, Google, Wikipedia, all of that, even though that's a very unreliable source. So my first first point of recommendation would be educating citizens in an interconnected world. So COVID-19 is a pandemic that illustrates how globally connected we are. There is no longer such as an isolated issue. Learners need to understand that this interrelatedness and navigate across boundaries and work in a globally collaborative way, meaning that we as teachers need to prepare lessons and that value this philosophy, and we should promote the interconnectedness idea. We should show learners how maths and English are related, how social science and natural science are related. We should show them and not teach these lessons as an isolated idea, an isolated subject. So the second one is redefining the role of a teacher. So the notion of an educator as the knowledge holder who imparts wisdom to their students is no longer fit for the purpose of a 21st century education, which I have mentioned before. This means that the role of the educator will need to improve more towards facilitating rather than imparting, young people's development as contributing members of society. So having lessons and lectures that help learners grow their skill instead of teaching knowledge. Lastly, I would say the last thing would be unlocking technology to deliver education. So the pandemic has forced many of us to harness whatever technological tool available to us and use it to learn. Although many areas do not have this luxury, it is a learning curve for our government, and to show them that these should be the main priority that they're focusing on now, and these new modes of instruction need to be tapped in, from grade R up until grade 12, and not just introduce these types of technological learning at university level or at tertiary level. That is all I have to say. The video is a bit too long, but I needed to say what I needed to say, and thank you very much for listening. Bye.